Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back, not from a bedroom, no, from my living room on the post-match reaction to Newcastle United 2, Brentford 3, a defeat at St James's Park against Keith Andrews' team and his wonderful Barnet. I'm going to get stuck right into this in a minute. Talk about the game, talk about where the game was lost, talk about the key moments, the lineup, the selection, everything that we do on a normal post-match analysis. If you're just checking us out for the first time, remember to smash that button and subscribe. Help get us to the next milestone, which is 13,000. Believe it or not, we've got over 12,600 subs. If you've looked at social media this week, you think nobody listens to this channel or watches it at all, which I'm going to just cover before I get into this whole thing. We are live tonight, so jump in the live as always, guys. The Mark and the mods are on the hunt for any infiltrators, I think, who are going to be in here tonight. But it's been an interesting couple of days for me and the channel. So if you didn't see already, after the City game, I came on here and I had a bit of a visceral reaction towards the manager because I was really disappointed at the way Newcastle just limped out of that first half. Looking back at it, I maybe was a little bit OTT. I lost my head a little bit with the manager and, maybe made it sound a little bit too aggressive. So I'll learn from that. I'm not a professional broadcaster. This is just me, a normal bloke doing a YouTube channel. Been doing it for nearly 4 years now, never been clipped up before. But thus is the society, the modern day society of fans, that not only do you have to worry about opposition fans clipping you up to try to embarrass you and make you look like a twat, you've actually got to worry about fans in your own fan base and your own society of Newcastle fans now doing the same thing, ironically, to get clicks and likes, which is what they accused me of doing as well. And normally these are people that they want to scream, they want to shout, they want to have a go at somebody just for saying something that they don't think is right. I'm not going to go mad tonight, even though Newcastle's lost the game that they were in front of again against a team that they should have been at home. I'm not going to go mad and scream and shout at the manager because you never know where these happy clippers are lurking just to clip you up and show you. But some of the things that were said were, a little bit out of order. I don't think you should ever cause a pile on somebody for having a difference of opinion to you. If you don't like that content, just don't watch it. Breeze past it. Don't bother. You don't have to go up online. You don't have to give people abuse and start causing pylons and everything else. And it's ironic as well because some of the people who did it are actually members of platforms that are supposed to be designed to prevent all of that. So I wonder what those people who invented those platforms have got to say to those people. But that's all I'm going to say about that. I just wanted to address it. Let's get stuck in to this match tonight. And a lot of people, I must admit, thank you for all the nice comments for everybody who did say nice things about me as well. And said they didn't think it was as bad as what people did. But listen, I'll take it on board. Some people have left me some comments that were quite, articulate and well worded and said maybe I did make it sound a bit personal. I don't know Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe doesn't know me. He could walk past me in the street, but I don't dislike him as a bloke, and I'm sure I wouldn't if I met him. But I think he's struggling as Newcastle manager. I said it on Wednesday, and I'm damn well going to say it tonight as well. So let's get into the lineup that started the game today. So the big news was obviously Captain Fantastic Bruno Guimaraes was back from a spell out with injury, which was brilliant to see. Real disappointing that Lewis Miley is still injured and can't make this lineup. All the noise about Sandro Tonali this week in terms of, is he going to go or is he not going to go? And I actually said in our Discord group, which is probably the safest place to talk about football these days, and some Patreon conversations if you're involved with them as well. I said, I wonder whether Tonali will give us a proper masterclass today to kind of quell those noises, or will he just show up and do fuck all? I think you guys know exactly what the answer is to that one. We'll get into that in a minute. But a little bit disappointing that Elanga didn't get a start after that nice bright cameo against City. He was probably the brightest spell, I think, in the second half of the Man City game. But the rest of the team kind of picks itself anyway. Johan Visser got the nod over Nick Voltemade. He could have probably flipped the coin between them two, really, because they weren't particularly great. Haven't been particularly great in the last few weeks. And, Visser got the nod against his old team, thinking it would try and give him a little bit more of an incentive to play against his old team to get out there and show them what they're missing. Why did they sell him 50 million? How dare they? Fucking hell. I bet you Brentford were laughing their nuts off watching this tit trying to play football day because I thought he was fucking atrocious. But I'll get stuck into that as well. I don't even care if that upsets Johan Visser fans. I'm sure there will be as many people jumping on to give me shit about that than they are about the manager. But the game started itself, and I thought Brentford looked really well organised. They were passing the ball around really well. Newcastle were a little bit disjointed, couldn't get passes together, defensively straight away from the off. The ball goes over the top, lack of pace again from Kieran Trippier. Every single team's targeting. It's so obvious where to target. And I know people go, there's nobody else to play right back. Yes, there is. Just give young Leo Shahar a chance. What's the worst that's going to happen? The kid's got pace and he can move and he can run. What is the worst that's going to happen? You could have even tried Jacob Murphy at right back and he probably wouldn't have got caught out like that. He pulls it back in the Brentford lad's shirt. And I think he's really, really lucky not to give away a penalty for starters. Absolutely. He really is lucky for that. He doesn't give the penalty. We get away with one there. And Brentford are really using the ball really well, kind of cutting through us. The midfield was wide open. I felt there wasn't a great deal of room. But Joe Willock was probably the best performer in the first half, trying to get in the ball, make things happen, linking it well with Lewis Hall, Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes has a good chance. We tries a little back heel. It just goes wide of the post. But then we take the lead. It's Sven Botman on his 100th appearance for the club on the 24th minute mark. He rises like a salmon with a corner that comes in. There's a few corners that went in before that. Bruno trying his mad, shooting from corners, things, trying to rattle Brentford. And I didn't know this. Brentford have only conceded one goal on the opening day from a corner before this game, which is pretty incredible, really. Think about how many corners get smashed into the box on a regular basis on a Premier League game. So they conceded number 2 because the ball came in. Sven Botman, great run, great movement. Bender's run a little bit. Maybe Johan Visser should watch him and try and copy him a little bit and maybe do something like that. He rises well, heads the ball, back of the net on his 100th appearance. Newcastle are 1-0 up. You think, right, come on, Newcastle, let's do something here. Let's either manage the game well, let's knock the ball around well, just give us a little 5-minute spell just to get a hold of it, run them ragged a bit, or even push for the second, put your foot in the throat and really go for it. We didn't do that at all, did we? We did the usual stuff that we've been doing for so long. We let them back into the game. And it's barely, what is it? It's barely 10 minutes later, isn't it? Where they get their goal as well. It's the penalty, isn't it? No, it's not the penalty. Sorry, it's Janlet, isn't it? Janlet gets the goal, comes across, miles away, tapping really, bottom of the net. Trippier slides and misses by a country mile. Atara sends him for a hot dog, scores the goal, puts in the bottom corner. They're 1-1. It's no surprise there. And then they get a penalty. They get a penalty. Just at half time, I think it is. Yeah, 47th minute. They get a penalty. Now, people can say this is harsh, right? But I've watched it back now. When the ref didn't give the first penalty on Trippier, I think he put himself under unnecessary pressure there because I thought that was a pen when he pulled him back. And I know it's straight away in the game, and you're thinking, do you give a pen that quick? You set the tone and everything else. But I think that was in the referee's mind that he didn't give that penalty. And he probably knew that was a penalty. So when the ball comes across it, and it looks like it's heading for goal, Jacob Murphy's on the far post, and he kind of moves his hand in a little bit to try and stop the ball from going in, and it hits his arm. And I don't like it, and I think it's harsh. But in the modern day of football world, that's a penalty all day long. So they give a penalty. Thiago stands up and smashes it in the back of the net, doesn't he? Puts it away. He had a good game tonight, Thiago. Strong lad, good movement. Everything our centre forward isn't really. I thought he was excellent tonight. Him and Chow had a right battle all game as well. But Brentford deserved to be in front. They absolutely deserved to be in front in the first half. I thought they were the best team by a mile. I thought they played through us. They played round us. We didn't really have a great deal of possession or possession with intent. When you look at the stats, it looks like we had a lot of shots, but it was a lot of shots and nothing. 16 shots in the game, only 4 on target. Look at the ratio of Brentford's 11 and 5 on target. We create 5 big chances, but it just doesn't really happen. But we'll come out in the second half. He makes changes. He brings on Alanga, he brings on Nick Voltemada, drops him at the 10 role, keeps Visser up top. And you're thinking, right, okay, that's a positive change. We've done something. I still can't believe Trippier stayed on because he was woeful in that first half. And again, you got to caveat this by saying Kieran Trippier has been a brilliant player for Newcastle United since we signed him. We signed him in his 30s, though. He's been brilliant for Newcastle. He's been an excellent leader, an excellent player, scored vital goals, set up vital goals, did everything like that, right? But the demise of Kieran Trippier, you're watching it happen before your eyes. And it's really sad to see. It's really sad to see this player struggling to keep up with players who really shouldn't be anywhere near his level. Like, he should be defending them and marking them, getting the ball off them, knocking it around them. And, they shouldn't be anywhere near Kieran Trippier in terms of their ability as players. They're good players, but they're never going to be a player who should have troubled the Kieran Trippier in his prime. But he's so past it now that even just average players with a bit of pace, it's a bit disingenuous to Brentford, good players with a bit of pace are just making them look like a mug. And it's really, really depressing to watch. And the manager's doing that. And he's got a young, 18, 17, whatever the kid is. Was he 18 years old, Shahar, 17, whatever it is? He's got a young right back on the bench, a young England right back. And he's just not giving him a chance. And you're thinking, what are you doing, man? Everyone's running rings around this lad. Get him off and get a young lad on. So worse he's going to do. Other players will protect him. Senior players will protect him. Chow will come over and make sure he's all right. Bruno might drop in and help him out in midfield. Just, he can't be doing this. I mean, and Shoehorn and Lewis Miley in there as well isn't the answer, because I thought Tonali was shocking most of the game. He's just strolling around. Mark texted me in the game and said he looks bored. I mean, he just doesn't want to be there, does he? You can see all over his face. He doesn't want to be there. You can pick tiny little moments of a game, 2-minute bursts where Tonali does something where there's a bit of injection of pace or there's a nice crossfield ball. But most of the time now he's just jogging around like he's checking his watch, waiting for the summer. And it's not nice to see that at all. It's, people talk about Isak down in tools. And I don't think the Isak down of tools is as visible as some of the Tonali stuff. Maybe because Tonali's in more of an action-packed area of the pitch than Isak was. Isak would pop up and score goals at vital moments, but Tonali's definitely nowhere near, the focused player that he was previously. But so the game goes on. We managed to get back into the game at 2-2. Bruno Guimaraes gets the penalty. So it's a nice little bit of play. It comes down the right-hand side. I think, is it Alanga that whips it across the box? I think it possibly was, or Barnes. Bruno's running to the box, and there's a bit of a tangle of legs with their centre-half, who, let me just check his name. Mark's better pronouncing these names than me, to be fair. What is the lad's name? Is it Coyote? Not Wiley Coyote. Coyote. So tangling legs with Coyote, goes down. It's a penalty. And to be fair, again, it's a bit clumsy by him, but again, you can't really argue that's a penalty as well. I think all three of them are penalties, in all fairness. I know the Murphy one's a bit contentious and a bit harsh, but in modern day football, sadly, that is a penalty. But this one was a penalty as well, because the guy kind of leans into Bruno. If he doesn't lean into Bruno and tangle his legs up with him, then I think Bruno gets there and taps that in for 2-2. So Bruno steps up, smashes the pen away, and it's 2-2. And you're thinking, right, Newcastle, come on, let's do something. Wissa, who was pretty much non-existent the entire game, 50 million quid, by the way. Honestly, he looks nothing like the player was signed. I think this knee injury's done him. I think the knee injury's absolutely done him. The lack of a pre-season and the knee injury, I think, has absolutely done him. I don't know whether he can get back to where he was next season if we keep a hold of him, but he just looks nothing like the player at all. For the player that was signed from Brentford, that's all, looks nothing like him. So it's really, really concerning with Visser. And then Voltamada, now he's dropping 10. Look good, I thought, Nick, when he come on. Nice little touches, quick feet going around players, slipping in some nice passes for people trying to make runs. But the problem is you've got Visser does not make intelligent runs. He's not a clever centre forward. He runs down dead ends, and he moves at the wrong time. He's offside, doesn't get onside quick enough. Alanga's the same. Alanga's just electric with pace, but doesn't make the right run. There was a break that we had when Asula came on. I thought we were brighter when Asula came on, because he's chaos, isn't he? He's fast, he's strong. Nobody knows what he's going to do next. Not even fucking Will Asula, I think, half the time. So, that frightened Brentford a little bit, because they just didn't know what was going on with him. But there was a bit when I think Nick breaks through and he slips a ball through, and Elanga gets in the way, doesn't move out of the way for Sula to make that run and curve it around the side of the centre half. It hits Elanga, and the play breaks up. And that's the problem with Elanga. His brain's not quite there. His body's quicker than his brain. He's not thinking about, right, what position do I need to take up, and where do I need to move, where do I need to drop, where do I need to take the defender away so there's a clear shot for somebody. He's just run. And that's the problem with Elanga. But saying that, he has looked brighter with his cameos recently. And I think he was unlucky not to start this game. Had he started this game, I think maybe we might have had a bit more control in the first half, because his pace frightened Brentford. There's no doubt about that at all. But true to form, what happens with Newcastle United. We're back to 2s each. And then Brentford, who looked like they were completely out in this second half, really. Newcastle looked like we were pushing for a winner. And then all of a sudden, what happens? Typical Newcastle, they play right through the middle of us. Otara, who was the best player in the park, I felt tonight, really. I thought he was brilliant. I remember when they signed him from Bournemouth, I was thinking, what, 30 million quid for him? You're joking. What's going on with the transfer market? But he was brilliant tonight. Skinned us, made us look like mugs. He runs through. It's a nice little finish under Pope. He's quite unlucky because it just kind of gets underneath him and goes in the bottom corner. But then they win 3-2, and you're just thinking, well, that's it, game over. And the sad inevitability right now of Newcastle United is you just feel that we're not going to win games. We were in front in that game, and we lost that game 3-2. Yeah, it's good that the lads got back, and people will take positives from that. And the ultra optimistic, happy people will take positives from the fact that we've got back into that game. But I still stand by my decision that there's a staleness in this team, in my opinion. I'm allowed my opinion. You can critique me, and you can click me, and you can put me online and, cause a pile-on to me for swearing about the manager, right? And I can admit maybe I was a little bit OTT with that kind of visceral reaction towards him as a manager, but he has lost it. He's lost that spark. He's lost that magic that he once had. Those players look lost. They look burnt out and fatigued and flat as well. And you can kick on and you can say, hey, do you know what? We haven't got enough players, Chris. The squad's low, the squad's short and all that. He's not used the youth that he could have done. He's not rotated when he could have done. He's overplayed players. He's overplayed Lewis Miley now, and he's fucked his knee, because he's played him way too much. He hasn't took off Lewis Hall when he needed to and protect him. He hasn't, he's playing Kieran Trippier, who's way past his best. And I don't see where this is going to improve with this manager at the football club. And loads of you already are shouting Howe out, which I'm going to get to in the comments in a minute, right? And that's your opinion, and you're entitled to your opinion. Nobody can tell you what your opinion is, but there's a weird infatuation with this manager in the media and in some of the fan base that because he did what he did and won us a cup and it was amazing and incredible, and he deserves all applaudits for it, that he's almost beyond criticism. And he's not beyond criticism at all. He should be there to be criticised. He's a football manager and the results aren't going the right way. He picks the lineup. He sets the tactics out. Yes, it's up to the players to implement it, but he's the man who picks the lineup and sorts the tactics out and has the in-game decisions to try and either win a game or hold a game. And he's doing none of those. So you're absolutely well within your rights to criticise this manager. But a lot of this fan base, that's obviously a massive taboo, isn't it? But let's get stuck in to some of your comments. Pop Mags is saying, fuck me, lads, that was rough. Yeah, it absolutely was. Liam says, if Tottenham beat us, oh my God. I can see it. Tottenham are very unpredictable. They did well against City the night when they come back. Again, they looked awful against Manchester United away earlier on today. But Spurs might turn up and win that game. Romero's obviously suspended because he's a fucking nutter. But yeah, I wouldn't put any money on us win that at all. Because I said a draw today, and that was me being positive, I felt. And, we've ended up losing the game 3-2. Geordie up in Edinburgh saying, I'm lost for words about Newcastle United. Yeah, a lot of people are, mate. Well, I hope you enjoyed it from the comfort of your armchair, which I know your opinion doesn't matter according to some journalists, but it does to me, mate. So feel free to give it in the chat and I will give mine as well. Tyson, I'm just waking up from my sleep under the bridge. I think half of the fucking team that played today as well. Kiwi Toon saying that table looks embarrassing. What, 12th? Fucking hell, 12th, man. I mean, look at that there. I tell you what as well, I watched the Mackems earlier against Arsenal as well. And Arsenal beat them 2-0. But I tell you what, the Mackems did well, played well. I'm worried about playing them as well in a few weeks. I've got to be honest with you. Liam says, "Where's the next win coming from?" I don't know, mate. Ask some of the shining happy people; they'll tell you, mate. They seem to have all the answers for you. Marcus is saying, "Like and subscribe on your way." And yes, thank you very much, mate. Appreciate that. Keith's saying, "I have no words. I hope you have plenty, Chris." Well, I'll try, mate. I'll try. 12,500 of you guys seem to enjoy it. There's 750 of you in the chat. So I appreciate that, guys. And I appreciate the nice comments as well. I'm not going to be for everybody. That's what content creation is all about. Like I said, I've done this probably for about 4 years now, and I've never experienced what I've experienced for the last couple of days. So I must have been doing something right not to have been clipped up in that length of time. But it happens, and I think it's a reflection of what's going on with the club at the minute and the fan base, where the frustration is boiling over. Some people want the manager out. Some people want the manager in for another 10 years. Doesn't matter where we finish. Poor again, says Graham. Absolutely. Finlam saying this is a loss on extremely tough fixtures. He's not going to pull this back. Well, you're entitled to that opinion, mate. Devon says, Eddie, thank you, but please PIF. Need to sort this out. Eddie's clearly run out of ideas. His time is up. I'm angry. See, this is the thing about managers, football managers, right? We are not exempt from this as Newcastle, just because we've had this brilliant sense of unity and togetherness. And Eddie Howe's done an excellent job the 4 years he's been here. There's no doubt about that. Saved us from relegation, gets Champions League twice and wins us a cup, right? That's an unbelievable CV. But that doesn't last forever. Magic wears off, sparkle fades. And some of the best managers in world football have that happen to them, with the exception of probably Pep Guardiola and Alex Ferguson. Even Arsene Wenger's time came to an end at Arsenal. Jose Mourinho's time came around at Chelsea. And Ancelotti, when he was at Chelsea, they won everything. And all of this talk about, Newcastle can't get another manager, right? Everton went and got Ancelotti when they were 16th in the table. We got Rafa Benitez, a Champions League winner, when we were in a relegation fight. You can get another manager, but I don't think, for what it's worth, the club will do anything. I don't think they'll sack him. I think they'll keep him till the end of the season, and we're just going to continue like this, I think, till the season's done. don't know what's going to happen in the Champions League, but I don't think we'll get much higher than that in the league, to be honest with you guys. I think a mid-table finish is on the cards, and and that's what it'll be. And some of the fans will be all right with that, and they'll say reset and go next season. Some won't. Some will want change. But the more the weeks go on and the more games that we lose, I think the louder the shouts for change are becoming, really, whether people would want to agree with it or not. Liam saying this season reminded me of Wenger's last season. Yeah, we got true form, yeah, at Arsenal, in terms of the fans wanting the manager or not. It does seem to be that. Yeah. Is it Olivia? Is that Olivia? It's hard to say that. We're so fucking shy. 19 points in winning positions. Thanks, Eddie. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Ian says opinions are like arseholes. We all have one. But there was certainly a few arseholes I saw last couple of days, mate, I tell you. Thank you very much, guys. Best channel on YouTube. Keep up the good work. Appreciate that, buddy. Very nice of you to say. Richard saying, well done, pal. You're just being passionate. Keep it real. Yeah, thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. I think most of the comments that I had on the video from, the regular viewers of this channel who know I'm pro to a rant. I've had a few rants in the past. They've not been directed at the manager as strongly as that. So that's probably why I haven't been clipped up, because I've normally been, either referees or opposing fans or whatever. But because I picked on St. Edward, I got absolutely battered. So that was what it was. And like I say, maybe I was a little bit too strong in my wording, but I don't disagree with what I said. I think he did bottle the City game. I didn't think he was brave enough. I thought the formation was all wrong, and we got totally schooled in the first half, and then the game was dead. Second half was better, but no point in that because the game was dead. George said 55 million and 6 points, a late Christmas for Brentford. Absolutely. Milburn says, I'm here because you say what needs to be said. Fuck the snowflakes. Appreciate that, mate. Terry saying, we weren't good enough. Very sad. Yep. Weren't good enough in the entire game, to be honest with you. I thought Brentford were the best team, certainly in the first half, best team all first half. And then when they needed to step it up in the second half and take control of the game again, they did that. And to be fair, Keith Andrews, I wrote him off at the start of the season like a lot of people would have done. Even professional pundits would have done that as well. They would have wrote him off and all thinking, Jesus, Brentford have lost Thomas Frank, they've lost Visser, they've lost Mbeumo, they've lost their captain to Arsenal. You think they're going down. I tell you what a great job Keith Andrews done there, by the way. Unbelievable. That's as good as his hairline. Absolutely brilliant. That was another thing some shithouse attacked me for as well in the comments, for having bad hair or losing my hair. So that's how low they were sinking there. That was the kind of baseline of the material. So that's not why I'm wearing a cap, by the way. My hair's a fucking mess. That's why I'm wearing a cap. Guys of the North saying, I begin to feel that Lewis Hall was going to chin the ref towards the end. That's frustration, because Lewis Hall's normally really calm, but he was losing his rag there because he's sick of it all, isn't he? Graham saying, Asula streets ahead of the two W's at this rate, 120 million. I know, man, honestly. I'd like to see Asula against Spurs on Tuesday. I must admit, I really would. Maybe play Voldemort in that withdrawn role with Asula in front of him. Just see what happens. He's got the pace. If Voldemort slips him through with a couple of chances, you might need 6 to score, but at least he'll make a proper run. Visser runs off to the left somewhere. I don't know where he's going. Keith saying, your channel, you say what you like, mate. If others don't like it, watch songs of praise. We all have a choice. Yeah, that's the thing, mate. That's the bit I don't understand, right? I understand people not liking what you do. I understand people, even dropping the odd shitty comment on your YouTube channel. I wouldn't waste my time. If I didn't like somebody, I'd just end the video and move on. I wouldn't, jump on and give them shit in the chat. But people do that, for whatever reason. Maybe they're having a tough time. I didn't have a particularly good week either, and that's why the City game, just fucking pushed me over the edge, really. But I'm not going to get into that because that's not kind of stuff I'm going to talk about on a channel. But you're only human, aren't you? At the end of the day, and you just try and learn from it, and you try and improve. And that's what I'll try and do. I'll try not to make it sound personal, because a lot of people said that, and it was never personal. I'm annoyed by the whole thing. And Chippers is right. He's angry. I'm angry as well. Phil says, what is there to say more? Yeah, absolutely. This must be a Brentford fan. No refund on Wissa. Sorry, guys. Well, I'm not surprised. And you absolutely deserve to be booed by all you lot as well, to be fair, because the way he left your club was not nice. Ancient saying, to end up with Lewis at right back, get burning is shocking. Time ago, Eddie, in-game management is so bad. He is losing a lot of supporters. There's no doubt about that. Predator says that was another horror show. Absolutely. Dom's saying, keep up the good work, mate. Best NUFC channel out there. Always calling it out. Ignore the haters. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that, buddy. Wissa needs Mbeumo, says Sean. I don't disagree with that. We need fucking Mbeumo, mate. We should have signed him in the summer. I know he went to Man U because you always wanted to go to Man U, but I do wonder, if there was a pull of maybe a bigger manager to trump a bigger club on paper, would we have got some of those players? Just throwing it out there, like if we had a, I don't know, Xavi Alonso or a Nagelsmann or a Mourinho even. I know some people don't want him, but if you had that big name, would you have got some of those players? You just don't know, do you? They might still win for bigger wages. I don't know, but it's just something that you can think about. Some people will tell you can't though because they'll have a go at you. Eric said, "It pains me to say, but the best team won. We're going backwards." We certainly are. Mark said, "I'm gutted for Voldemort. There's an excellent player there, but he's been wasted with us. He's just not being used properly, is he? That's the thing." I know True Geordie, who, to be fair, he's had a lot of stick as well for putting his neck out there about how he feels about the manager. A top bloke is Brian, it was in my messages as well after all the shit I was getting, and he's just a proper top bloke and really supports, kind of, I suppose I'm gonna say up and coming content creators like me, a lot smaller than he is. He'd get more abuse in 10 minutes now, probably getting 4 years, but a great bloke. And he's got strong opinions. And I think his opinions are absolutely bang on as well, but he gets shit for it as well, but that just seems to be the nature of the fan base at the moment. For the attention of the chat, criticize me by all means, but please don't resort to direct threats and hate towards individuals. Rational criticism, swearing, encourage, but not abuse. What was that then, mate? Was that me? Did I say that? You confused me there, George. It's not hard. Piff, what excellence. This is not, says Leon does. Absolutely. We need a change of plan in the summer, says Alan. I think that might come in the summer. But I don't think it's coming now, but I think it'll come in the summer. MFS saying Voldemort is not the problem. Him and Alanga are the ones who brought us into the game. I thought they did look fresh. I mean, you got to start both of them, I think. When we get to Spurs, Wissa shouldn't start at all. And Tania should Tonali. If Miley's fit, play Miley against Spurs because Tonali's a disgrace, in my opinion. He clearly wants away. Get him on the bench, man. He's not offering fuck all, losing the ball all the time, leaving his man. It's looking like he can't be bothered half the time. Just bench him. Dave saying Tuna's stale. Yeah, I totally agree with that, matey. Roy saying he's officially jumped over the fence now. Eddie looks lost of ideas. Too many players going missing. Not interested. Eddie's his own worst enemy. He can't bring us back this time, sad to say. I don't think he can, and he's also not got an Alexander Isak to pull him out the shit and pull us out the shit like we had last season. Love him or loathe him, that guy was capable of doing something out of nothing. He had the X factor. None of those players have got that. Outside of Bruno Guimaraes, none of those players have got that ability just to grab it and do something with it. And that is quintessentially one of the biggest problems Newcastle have right now. And we didn't sign anybody in the summer. Sorry, in the January window, there was money there to do it, and we didn't do it because we're waiting for the summer. What happens if we're not in Europe in the summer? It's a total different pool of players that we can attract and can't attract, and then we lose some of our best players as well. It's not good at all. Stuart Chapman, Sandy, thank you, buddy. Joke of a club, Chris. We are shit. You are not over the top. This manager has lost it. He's dog shit. Enough is enough. I love Eddie, but I'm done. Yeah, thanks for that support, mate. And a lot of people are going down that route, I think, to be fair. Dave's a new member. Thank you, Dave. Oh, mate, Dave Lister. Love that picture, though. Smeg Heed. Love Red Dwarf, mate. Fucking class. Burn the Heretic saying, perhaps we need to get in a German, i.e. Terzic, to get the best out of another German. Voldemort. Yeah, true. You could also say that about Nagelsmann, couldn't you? You got to wait till after the World Cup for that. Claggy Steak Bakes. What a name. Love it, mate. Eddie, we love you. Your name is forever etched in history, but it's time to move on. Now, you see, the press won't let you think that way. A lot of the fans won't let you think that way either, but you're entitled to think that way, and it's okay to think that way. The death of discourse, not just in football, but in society, is really disappointing. You're not allowed to have a difference of opinion. You can have a difference of opinion about something else. What's your favorite color? Red. Oh, okay. What's your favorite color? Blue. Oh, okay. But then you start talking about football or politics. I won't get into that. Fuck me. But that's even more divisive than football. People just absolutely lambast you. And like I say, now people are going to clip you up to get clicks and likes, is what they're accusing you for. They're causing pylons as well for it. But you're allowed to have an opinion. And if your opinion is you want the manager out, that's fine. You want the manager to stay in, fine. Offer your opinion and your reasons why. And sometimes you can agree to disagree and move on. And that's it. It's 8 a.m. in New Zealand. You woke up at 5 a.m. for this. Fucking hell, mate. That's rough, isn't it? Crotty, I wouldn't back us playing anybody at the minute. I wouldn't either, mate, to be honest with you. Oh, I'm glad somebody said this about Ryan scored again, 19 years old. What did they say again? There wasn't the right player for us. He looked the right player to me. Pace, creativity. He's already got a goal and an assist. Why didn't we go for him? Be worth about 100 million when Bournemouth cashed in on him. Shocking that by the club. Terrible. David Knight said, I think it's funny at this point. Black and White Bandit was having a go at me because I was negative. Honestly, these people have lost their minds. Yeah, I don't want to dig out other content creators, even though other content creators dug me out. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to, lower myself to that level because I don't think that's right. Some of the people who dug me out have been accused of some outlandish shit within the fan base over the last few years, and I never said nothing about that because I didn't want now to do with it. And I'm not going to do it now. If they have an opinion and they think Eddie Howe can walk on water and turn it into wine, then fucking crack on. But my eyes don't lie to me, and I think he's out of ideas. I think he's not setting the team up properly. He's not getting the best out of the players that he spent 200 million quid on. And I think, as a Newcastle fan for a long time, I've seen Newcastle teams struggling, and I've seen Newcastle teams where managers have got to go, and this has all the hallmarks of that, in my opinion. But this will be left to rot till the end of the season, is what I really think. Yeah, thanks, Dave. Really appreciate that, buddy. And good to have you on board, mate. Viva Vendetta never changed. Don't let the clappers and shill journalists change you, mate. We are here because of your rants and everything else. Never changed for nobody. Thank you, mate. I really appreciate it. It's, I do stick to my opinion. I don't normally change it. And I'm not changing it. I think the manager has lost the plot. I think he's lost it for a long time, and all these excuses that he comes out with, it's like Groundhog Day. It's like one of them little fucking keychains you used to have in the 90s, where it's like 5 or 6 sounds, or we went at our best today. That's not like us, I was happy with the strong performance. It's all the same bollocks that comes out week on week, but a lot of these fans will never hear a bad word about them, neither will the journalists, and that's fine. But you can't just vilify fans who are saying, actually, I don't like what I'm seeing and I'm a bit worried about it. But that seems to be the way right now. It's not good. Yeah, the booze at full time. I did hear that. Even though I'm sat in my armchair, according to some journalists, and that means I'm not affiliated with the club and I'm not allowed to have an opinion, which I think is blindly arrogant, to be brutally honest with you, to say something like that. I think football isn't just a game that ends in the stadium. It's global. It's around the world. There's some of you guys have got up at 5 a.m. in New Zealand to watch that game, and you're as much a Newcastle fan as the person sitting getting pissed on in the Leazes end for me. But these journalists just stoke the flames by doing stuff like that. But yeah, I don't agree with it. Stephen saying, it's a comfy armchair, but I've had a season ticket on 2 separate occasions, been at countless games since I was 13 and I'm 46. Fuck anyone who says I'm not entitled to my take. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Well, he's a terrible journalist. He's a pantomime villain journalist, and I think the way he talks to people is fucking shocking. I'd be surprised if some of the journalists even like him as well, to be fair. I have spoken to journalists before and indicated someone was a bit of a bell end, and I think they were referring to him, but I won't give my name away who that was. Tyler saying, sorry if you've already been asked, but opinions on Asulo and Elanga starting going forward with Voldemort as a 10. Yeah, I'd start them, Tyler. I'd start both of them. I really, really would. Pile of sloppy cow pat, says Liam Maggs. Brilliant. I'm sure that's one of the insults I might have had last couple of days. I don't think they're as creative as you, Lee. Thanks for that, buddy. Super chat in there from Peter McCardle. He needs to do the honourable thing, go before it turns toxic. Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a while till it turns toxic, given some of the kind of endless praise for him. But this was a big game for the club and for him tonight, and he's lost it. So more pressure will come on him. But I don't think the media will turn him. I don't think the loyal Eddie followers will turn him just yet. But a lot of fans are starting to lose patience with what they're saying because they don't see a plan. They don't see a solution. And I think that's a real concern. Six Stop saying, can we call it a crisis yet? Surely PIF will act. I'm not sure they will, Six, because I think they're so distant away from this whole thing. I just don't think they will do anything about it, mate. I really, really don't. Cynical saying, I prefer the Asulo Watamata combo than Whistle Watamata. Yeah, me too, mate. And I think that needs to happen again. George is saying, completely expected that game. Can't wait for True Geordie's rant. Yeah. Well, the big man will go double barrel, I'm sure. He really will. He's a lot more long in the tooth in this game than I am. So he will give it to people, and he won't give 2 fucks what anybody says, to be honest with you. I'm still sticking to my guns. I've said for the whole season, I think the manager's lost the plot. And I'm not going to change my opinion on that. But like I said, I do take the feedback on, calling him, a wanker and a PE teacher was maybe a bit too far, but he does look like a PE teacher on the sideline. I do apologize for any PE teachers I may have caused offense to. I'm sure you're very good at your job. You know exactly what you're doing. So I didn't want to imply that. The comment there from Northumberland, Geordie, where the fuck is Newcastle 2 years ago? Bloody hell. I used to be Eddie in, but this can't go on. It needs to go now, or it's going to get toxic. I'll tell you what's happened to Newcastle 2 years ago, Northumberland. It isn't just that they've lost Alexander Isak. They can't play with that level of intensity anymore because they're too old. They're old. They can't keep up that level of intensity, and that is the thing. And that's why the intensity isn't there. Gordon said, love the show. Keep telling how it is, but things will turn. They always do. Football is constantly evolving. The current team has just run its course. Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, mate. Absolutely right. I just think that we just can't seem to admit that. Some of the fan base and the local journalists as well, that they're so infatuated by Eddie Howe's charm that they can't allow themselves to, go, actually, we've seen this before. This is not good. We've seen this under other managers, other clubs. And I don't want to be like Chelsea, who sack a manager just for farting and doesn't smell nice. Don't want to be like that. Man United sacking loads of managers as well. But when you're a club like that, I saw Goldbridge say that, why did Newcastle fans want Eddie Howe sacked? You have to just accept that you're Newcastle and you got to sell your best players to bigger clubs. And that's just that typical kind of cocky, arrogant, big six kind of mentality. And Newcastle want to be in that picture, then you can't be letting managers take you to mid-table before you act. You have to do something before that, but I just don't think that they will. Trippier on Sky now saying we have another game midweek to reset. What the fuck? He also says the manager has no blame. Take it on the players. Okay. Utter shite again. Great channels. Cheered me up a tad. Yeah, thank you very much, Dartmoor. Really appreciate that, bird. Yeah, that ain't going to happen, Liam. I don't think I'd ever have him on the channel, to be fair. I don't think I'd ever talk to him, to be brutally honest with you. There's no mistake now. We are in crisis. The team look lost, says 50. This is Mark putting the chat on. Trippy saying, I take full responsibility as a senior player in the dressing room. It's nothing about the manager. We are going through a tough spell, no doubt about it. We need to get our heads down. Well, fair enough. And he says, it's my responsibility as a senior player to calm things down. Well, that tells you the dressing room is not happy then. Something's up with the dressing room then if Kieran Trippier is coming out and saying something like that. The pressure is mounting. And, journalists like Edward saying that Eddie Howe's not under pressure was nonsense. Like I say, your window cleaner's under fucking pressure. Anyone who's got a job's under pressure. To say that the football manager's not under pressure is the biggest pile of shit I've ever heard in my life, from a guy who gets paid to be articulate. So that's interesting that Trippier said that. Yeah, I'm with you, Marsh. I'm not surprised anymore either, to be honest with you, mate. I was quite numb watching that, really. I didn't even get pissed off because I was kind of expecting it. And, after the shite, that's gone on the last couple of days, with me criticising the manager, albeit a bit too strongly, I was numb to all that tonight. I really was, because I just thought it's a point in getting angry about it. You just get people clipping you up and try and, cause pylons for you. Dave said, Eddie looks a beaten man to find a whistle. Never seen nothing like that before. He has looked a bit fatigued, I think, this season. Claggy again saying, can anyone confirm if De Zerbi was being chanted? Oh, God. Well, I wasn't at the game because I'm an armchair supporter. But anyone who was at the game can maybe answer that either now if they've got back to watch it in time or later. Mick Multiverse has become a member. Thank you very much, Mick. Appreciate that, buddy. I like coffee. Hi, Chris and all. I quite liked Asula's energy today. He looked hungry, and it's something we've been missing. Yeah, absolutely. I think he did look good. I haven't even said man of the match, have I? Christ. Man of the match? Who can I say man of the match? Lewis Hall? I was going to say Sven Botman, but then he started to struggle a little bit. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Joe saying, Chris, I came here for your rant. Can you hurry up? So I've got some out-of-date chops in me tea. Don't let the bastards get you down. Yeah, thanks, mate. No rant tonight. Like I said, I think I've had enough of that this week. I think I blew me stack on Wednesday, and I'm not in the mood for that anymore, to be honest with you, mate. But it wasn't a good performance. Brentford with a better team deserved the win. I think Newcastle, yeah, good to get back into it, but never really looked in control that game. Never looked like we were going to boss that game. Didn't look confident at any stage, really, in my opinion. And serious questions need to be asked whether you got Eddie Howe tattooed on your left arse cheek or not. Neil's become a member. Thank you, Neil. Appreciate that, buddy. Another loss, another poor performance, says John. Yeah, absolutely, John. I don't disagree with any of those 2 points, matey. Higher Max is spot on. We can't play a million miles per hour in these UCL seasons and expect to be top table. It's up to how to figure that out. Well, that's where he's meant to be. He's meant to be the man with the plan, isn't he? But I don't see a plan this season. Don't know about you guys. JL saying, don't forget your armchair fan. I was today because work until 5. What a fool look Edwards is. I love Howe, but he has took us as far as he can go. Love the honesty, Chris. Great channel. Yeah, thanks, buddy. And thanks for the super chat as well, Jay. Appreciate that, buddy. What's this Robert saying? Other PE teachers are available. Thanks, Robert. Can they set a team up to not give away wins? Because that would be lovely, mate. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? But yeah, I mean, I think I suppose closing this one off, to be fair, didn't want to be on too long because it's late on Saturday night, isn't it? But yeah, I just think I don't feel confident with us in games. Certainly not in the Premier League this season at all. I just don't feel. I don't feel like we're ever really in control of games. I don't think that we play with any confidence anymore. We don't play with swagger. We don't play we don't play cohesively as a team. And I think it's because the big players haven't showed up this season. We lost Isak, who was a big player. Gordon as well is cherry picking games. Champions League, he's all over the place. He's up and down. He's skinning players. He's scoring goals. Barnes has probably been the only one who's really stepped up. Barnes and Bruno and Lewis Hall this season, I think, have been the only three, and Lewis Miley as well, if you want to throw him in there. Joe Litton came back to form. Shame he got injured. But I think Lewis Hall, Miley, Bruno, and Barnes, outside of that, the rest of them really struggled. Really struggled. And I just don't understand what's gone on there. I really don't. Like, why have they lost so much motivation? I don't get it. Stato from Toon Review. Good to see you, Stato, mate. Forgot to send people your way. Apologies, Chris. Enjoy ranting about that nonsense. No worries, brother. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much. You guys always send people our way, so I do appreciate it. Sheldon saying, the fact is, no Chris rant sums up. We're all tired as fuck with this. We are. Well, I'm very tired. I've had a very mentally tiring week. This week with the whole rant on Wednesday and the aftermath of all that noise, to be brutally honest with you. But I don't really want that to happen again, to be honest. But like I say, it's indicative now of the fan base where you're not going to be just worried about being happy clipped by other fan bases. You've got to be happy clipped by your own fan base to cause pylons. And a lot of these people have, things in their bios like mental health advocate and stuff like that, but they'll cause pylons on people, just because you got a different opinion than them and they don't like the way you said it. Interesting. That isn't it ironic, as old Landis Morissette would have said. Chris is saying Lascelles walked straight into the Leicester tee. What the fuck went on there? I don't know what that was. I don't know whether that was a contractual thing or maybe him and Howe had a fallout. I mean, there was that thing, wasn't there? Not to get personal, where Lascelles was swinging haymakers in the town when I don't know whether that pissed off Howe or whatever. I don't know. Who knows what goes on by his closed doors these days? I tell you what I do know, though. David Hopkins saying we're going to win all the top trophies by 2030. Well, it's 2026, David, and we look fucking miles off of it, mate. We need to jump in the Millennium Falcon to fucking get how many light years ahead of that we need to be winning major trophies. We are way off of it, mate. Way off of it. Barmash is saying, was at the game, such a poor defensive performance. Asula looked like the kind of player we need. Lewis Hall was mostly good. Yeah, I thought Lewis Hall looked good from my armchair as well, Barum. So it's good that we've got the same opinion there, mate, isn't it? Even though you were in the ground and I was an armchair expert. So, hey, look how that works out. Devin Green saying, honestly, can't see our next victory. Something needs to change. I mean, the manager won't change. I don't think they'll sack him. So I'm taking that off the table altogether. But, yeah, it's very interesting to see. Santos saying, apparently Eddie Howe kept in the dressing room for half an hour after the game. Tripp's done the after-match interview. Has he decided to go? I don't think so. Howe's just been on Sky, says Mark. I don't think Howe will go. I was talking to a mate of mine who's a very prominent Newcastle content creator as well. I won't give his identity away, but he said he didn't think Howe would quit because he'll never get a better job than this. And he might be right. He might be right in club football. I mean, Eddie Howe still gets talked about as the England manager because he's an English coach and he's probably been the most successful English coach, of the last few years. So if ever he was going to get the England job, it's probably going to be this summer. And the way things are going with Newcastle, if we finish mid-table and we're out of Europe and we don't have that pull of Champions League, I think the club will probably pull the trigger then, especially if Thomas Tuchel is saying that he'll go after the World Cup. I think Howe will probably end up as England manager, and that will be a great job for Eddie Howe. And it'll give us a chance for him to move on and have this big hero's exit, and everybody can weep and cry about his exit and all that stuff, within the fan base. Some people will cheer. That's just the nature of football fans, I always say it. Claudio Ranieri won the Premier League for Leicester City, the biggest achievement of their life. I know some Leicester fans and they still gush about it now, but they said it was right to move him on because he was losing games and they were struggling and they were going to get relegated. And that's what football does. Football moves on. It doesn't live in the then, it lives in the now. You never forget what's happened then. And Eddie Howe, no matter what happens in his career, whether he's still at Newcastle in 5 years or whether he leaves Newcastle in the summer, Eddie Howe will always be that man who won the Carabao Cup. He will always be that man who pulled us out of the shite in the takeover era and got us up to the Champions League again, first time in 20-odd years. The man who was draped over the Sandman Hotel. I saw Keith Dowry said that the other day as well, and he's right to say it, but it isn't a reason to protect him from criticism, Keith. We all remember that. I was there on the parade. It was unbelievable. It was one of the best experiences I've ever been in. It really was. The whole city was alive and optimistic and everything. And Eddie Howe brought that to the city, right? So he does deserve all the plaudits for that. But you can't just park the way we're playing this season. You can't just ignore the way we're struggling in the Premier League. the summer signings and the way it's not working. You can't just ignore all of that. So for starters, it's not professionals. People will get paid to talk about it. You shouldn't park that because of your personal like for Eddie Howe. You have to look at it objectively as a journalist or a pundit and say something's not right, something's not working. He needs to do something to fix this, or he may be in trouble. YouTube content creators and podcasters and all these other people who say these types of things, we are just normal people, on microphones and in our spare rooms or our living rooms or whatever, and you get abused for it, because you're there to be abused. I mean, all these celebrities do get abused for it as well, to be brutally honest with you, but we are just normal people talking about it, and we can call it out. So why can't the professionals do it, get paid for it? Leo, do you know what, Leo, the other day, mate, I was tempted to start the old film channel at me because I was getting absolutely sick of football with all the shit I was getting. So maybe watch this space, mate. It might happen. Attacking number 2, Sven, I'm with you now. I'd replace him now if you could find somebody more suitable. Super chat from Mick Toonami. I'm more worried about losing the players that we have because of this system. It doesn't suit them, and the youth players don't even get a chance. Why would you let a young player come and sign for Newcastle? Why would you let your young player come and play for them? Honestly, they don't get a chance. To wither them on the vine. And that's something that, again, I'd like the press to ask Eddie Howe, but they just don't do it, do they? So that really does concern me, to be brutally honest with you. It really does concern me. Sorry, the super chat there. Is there a super chat? I'm just looking. Is there another super chat? Yeah, there is. There we go. I'll get that before we go. Stephen saying, Howe just used Trippier as a human shield coward. Sent him out so everyone knows it's not his fault. Needs gone tonight. Can't see it happening though, Steve, but thanks for the super chat, mate, as well. But yeah, that's me pretty much done, guys. Thank you so much for joining me and all the crack in the comments, as always. And thank you for the last few days as well. Nice comments from you guys. In the aftermath of the old viral clipping and all that malava. So hopefully that won't happen again. I'll learn from the bits that I've taken from that as well. But I'm not going to change my tune. I don't care how many people call me negative. I think this manager has done all he can do for the club. What he's done has been brilliant. But I think that if the club let this go, I think we're going to finish mid-table. No European football. Could lose a raft of really top players in the summer and struggle to replace them as well. But that's me done for tonight, guys. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Smash the button below. Hype it. Do everything that you can to help the channel grow. Hopefully get to 30,000 subscribers as soon as possible. And that'll be lovely. And we'll be back soon. Maybe an aftermath coming out tomorrow on the back end of all of this. And then me and Mark will be back for what's going on Monday night at 9:30. So stay tuned for that, guys. No trolls tonight. So either the mods have been class or they've all gone away a little bit quiet because maybe they're starting to wonder whether the manager has run his course as well. But thanks for watching, guys. Have a bell there. I'll see you later.
Celebrate. They have done it.